Good afternoon. We are at the Z property. We're going to be completing a repairability test. We'll be completing it on this right slope, which is southwest. We have this damaged shingle here. I've identified with an X. We'll do our repair test on that one and see how it affects all of those surrounding shingles. I've marked all of those up, all of which could potentially be damaged during the repair test. I'll give you an overview before we get started of all of those shingles, showing you the condition of those, and then I'll show you the condition of those shingles afterwards. And I'll be using a roof snake, flat bar, hammer, and putty knife. We'll use that putty knife to unseal the top row, and then we'll use the flat bar to unseal the rest of the shingles. See how those two different tools affect the shingles differently. Alright, we'll get started with the putty knife. We'll use that to unseal the top row. And then we'll use a flat bar to unseal the rest of them. Got a little tear in the shingles here, so that shows how brittle these shingles are, tearing just from getting those unsealed. We'll start removing these nails now. Right, that should be all of the nails. So for the repairability test, we'll slide the damaged shingle out, and then we'll slide it back in, doing everything you would for an actual repair, and that should give us the most accurate results. We're doing the same motions, manipulating the shingles the same way you would for a repair. Okay, we got that back in place. We'll start getting some nails in there now. We'll be using that roof snake for that. Alright, we're all complete with the repairability test. Give you another overview of all of those surrounding shingles. And then we'll take a look at the shingles right above the damaged shingle. You can notice some stress fractures along these tabs here. You can see that all across there. What those stress fractures are is the matting on the shingle breaking, which damages the integrity of the shingle and also affects its water shedding capabilities. You can feel that those tabs are very weak in those areas with the broken matting. You can see that there. And just to give you a side view, you can see that bend in the top of the shingle there. That's where the matting is broken. So really easy to see from the side there. That one we can see real bad there. Another stress fracture. Same thing along this one. And then we'll check underneath for any mat transfer. Looks like we can see some small pieces right in there. You can see where those chunks came off the bottom of that tab there. You can see some exposed fiberglass showing through the bottom. This one pretty bad right there. Another chunk taken off the bottom of that tab, and you can see some more exposed fiberglass. You can see some more mat transfer along this one. The exposed fiberglass showing through. Looks like we have some mat transfer all along this one as well. You can see all of those chunks there taken from the bottom. That tab, we can see all those exposed fiberglass through there as well. And that's also damaging the integrity of that shingle as well, as it's taking chunks off of the bottom of the tabs. So that's damaging the integrity of the shingle and also going to make it extremely difficult for those shingles to reseal. See a little bit of mat transfer along this one, not a huge amount. And this last one here, we can also see some mat transfer, the exposed fiberglass showing through. So with all of those stress fractures along with that mat transfer, I do not believe that this roof is repairable. And we can see the difference between these shingles that are still sealed down. We didn't have to manipulate at all in order to do that repair test. You can see the difference when comparing those with this shingle here. You can see that stress fracture along this one, and these ones do not have any sort of stress fracture or damages like that. Give you a comparison here. Notice a pretty big difference between the shingles that had to be manipulated compared to those shingles that did not. So with all of those stress fractures, mat transfer, I do not believe that this roof is repairable. Excuse me. We can see when making repairs to this one wind damaged shingle, the results are we have 1, 2, 3 additionally damaged shingles. You can see 5, 6, and 8 there are damaged. So, and those are going to be potential leak hazards now with those stress fractures and the mat transfer along those. So, if I do not believe that repairs are feasible to this roof, as we can see the wind damage is pretty widespread. We can see that all over this slope, and we got it all over this front slope as well. You can see some there. So leaving them with, if repairs were to be made, they would be left with a bunch of potential leak hazards all over their roof, which I do not believe would be indemnification. So with that being said, I do not believe that the roof is repairable, and I'll go and chalk up all those damages and get some better pictures of those. Thank you for your time.